Well, everyone, the PlayStation 5 Slim has just officially came out. It's been out for like a week or two now, and I wanted to kind of show you a complete beginner's guide for the most part and how to use this new beautiful console. So there's a lot of stuff going on here. There's a couple of new things, but for the most part, if you used any of the previous PlayStations, especially the PlayStation 5s, this is a very similar type of design for the most part, and I'm very happy with it. It's much smaller than the other previous PlayStation, which I'm really happy about. I'm happy whenever they make these type of slim models. So I'll give you a quick breakdown on exactly how to use this console for the most part, and I'll even get into the software a little bit later, probably from one of my other videos that I made before, but let's go and kind of give you a breakdown. Now, this is what you're getting in the box. Okay, so if you're buying this used, you may not get everything here. You may get more things, who knows? But from the brand new box, these are the most important things that you're going to need. So for one, you're going to need an HDMI cord, which comes within the box, which is great. You're going to be getting your controller, PlayStation 5 DualSense controller. You're going to be getting a USB-C to USB-C type of cable. So these are really nice to have. These connect to everything, as you can also connect it to your controller and just pair it up that way, which is super cool. Then you're also getting your AC adapter, which comes in the box. This is what you plug it in to power this whole entire console. So we'll get into these wires in a second, but as long as you have those wires and the controller, you will pretty much have everything you need to basically get started. So now with the console itself, if we're going to scoot this thing forward, it's a pretty basic console. You know, we've seen this type of design before, but there's a couple of new things. You will know you have a PlayStation 5 Slim over the other PlayStation 5s because you have this specific dash right here. The other PlayStations do not have this, but you can signify that you have the newer upgraded one because of this type of design and because you have this newer shiny material at the very top. So keep that in mind. Now at the very front, there's not really anything super crazy going on. You do have a few things. So we do have our disc tray right here, which apparently you can go ahead and change out. So if you want the cheaper one, it doesn't come with a disc tray. You can add it in later though if you want. But you have your disc tray here, and you can go and click this button to basically eject the disc tray if you want to. There's nothing like at the very top here, just kind of the standard material. At the very bottom though, you're getting two USB Type-C ports. And this is really cool because you can go and plug in that USB Type-C port that we had, that they already gave us, into here and plug in our controller or whatever. You can also go ahead and click on this power button right here if you want to go ahead and power this console on. So you can also hold it down if you want to power it off and kind of troubleshoot it further from there. At the very bottom of this console, you don't really have anything, as you can see, just some fans and some other information or whatever. On the back side, this is where things get a little interesting. So you can see we have a couple of things going on here too. So for one, again, you're just getting your fans and your exhaust in the back side. There's fans kind of all around this console too, which is kind of nice. So this is where you're going to plug in your AC adapter to basically get this thing plugged in, turned on. Now you have your two USB Type A ports here, which is really nice to have. So these are the older type of ports, but still if you have some sort of docks like docks or dongles, or you have something else that you want to plug in here, you have that type of capability too. You have your Ethernet port and you have your HDMI port. So Ethernet is basically for your internet. If you want to plug it in here, you can plug it in your internet and kind of move on from there. And you have your HDMI port, which is nice to have because you can just plug in your HDMI and plug it straight into a TV or something and basically power up and actually see your console stuff from here. So that is it essentially from the outside. Now the PlayStation 5 Slim, although you probably won't have to do this, it does have the capability of removing the top, basically the top cover. So what you can do is you can grab the top cover like this at the very top and grab this side up here, and you can kind of just remove these things just like this until you hear a little click, and you can actually go and slide this thing off. It's pretty basic, it doesn't really take too much time. So you can take this cover off. You don't really have to. Again, you just kind of like peel it off right here. If you actually take a look, there's also some connectors on the sides right here that basically allow you to kind of remove this thing. You don't have to, but you can go ahead and basically replace it if you want. If you're getting a certain PlayStation 5, you can go and remove this. You can add a new one here if you want. It's pretty cool. I think it's really intuitive, but you have that type of capability. So if you have a certain PlayStation 5 Slim, you can add or remove a disc tray if you want. I don't know why you want to remove it, but you can add it if you want to. Putting it back on is pretty basic. Just follow the exact lines that you had in before. You can kind of like slide this thing in just like so and kind of click it all into place until it fully clicks into place at some point. And that's pretty much all you have to do on the outside. Now with the port selections, like I mentioned before, this is kind of an interesting thing too. So starting off with the AC adapter, this thing you can slide in from the back. So the AC adapter goes right here. So what you want to do is you want to grab your AC adapter that's within the box. So you can just go ahead and unbox this thing as you normally would. So just like this, you can go and unbox this thing, and you should be able to go ahead and grab these two, this like AC adapter thing here. You should be able to plug it in right into this little panel right here. So go and plug this in right here, and you can plug the other end into a wall, And you should be able to power up this specific PlayStation 5 Slim just from plugging this thing into a wall. So plug this thing into a wall somehow, and you should be good to go from there. Now the other thing is the HDMI cord. So what you can do is you can grab your HDMI cord just like this, and you should be able to go ahead and just boot it up, basically just untie it. These tie things are just so annoying sometimes, but essentially you just have to untie it. And then from there, all you have to do is plug this other end into the other HDMI port right here. Now, if you have some other way you want to connect it, you can. But essentially, if you have the HDMI cord, you can plug this other end into the HDMI, inside of your other HDMI box or your, TV or your monitor, whatever you're using, and you should be good to go. Now, the controller I usually plug in at the front. If you have like this, if you have another USB Type-C cable like USB-A to USB-C, you can use that too. But usually I just leave one of these plugged into the front of my other PlayStation 5, the disc model. So the PlayStation 5 Slim is basically the exact same thing. So what you can do is you can just go ahead and plug this thing. So here's the USB-C cable, and all you have to do is go and plug this thing into the end of the front of the specific console right here, and then you plug the other end inside of your PlayStation 5 controller, which is right here. So the charging port of the PlayStation 5 controller is right here. Go ahead and plug this bad boy inside of this, and you should be able to see that your controller will then be able to be configured and turned on by your PlayStation 5. As long as everything is plugged in, you should be good to go. And all you're going to have to do is hold down on this specific button right here, and then the PlayStation 5 will go ahead and turn on. The controller will turn on, these two things will sync, and then you're going to be good to go. You should then be able to see your home screen come up of your PlayStation 5, and that's a quick introduction on how to use your PlayStation 5 Slim on the exterior. Now I'm going to play a video that I made even like a year or two ago that basically showcases how to use the software of your PlayStation 5, and it's going to be pretty much the same thing as a PlayStation 5 Slim. So I'll go and roll into that right now. Time to do kind of a little bit of a UI review of the PlayStation 5. Now, as most of you guys know, maybe some of you don't know, this is going to be a pretty brief, simple walkthrough of the whole entire UI of the PlayStation 5. Now, if the quality seems a little bad, it's not just you, it's not your computer. I am screen recording this, so keep that in mind. But I had to get this out to you guys, and for some reason my PlayStation 5 screen recording wasn't working. Basically, as soon as you boot up your PlayStation 5 and you get through your actual setup, this is the screen that you're going to be basically, brought to. And this is kind of similar to previous versions of PlayStation, even with the PS3, to be honest. Even with the PSP if you own that. But basically, as soon as you boot your console up, every single time you'll come into this page. Now, this is a pretty easy walkthrough because, as you can see, Sony makes it easy for us. Right there it says games, and this is our games library. So right here are pretty much going to be, the most of the games that you personally own, but also some new games that you just installed. Sometimes if you just installed one, it may also just come right here too. This is your PlayStation Store. So anytime you want to go download any apps or anything, you can go and click here. And my Wi-Fi is probably about to go up. Nope, we're good. And basically anytime you want to download any games from the PlayStation Store, this is pretty much where you're going to be going. So the PlayStation Store, I'm sure most of you guys have already, messed with it and everything. Now the next ones are pretty much, like I said, the games that you've already had. Media Gallery is if you ever screen record or screenshot, which I'll show you in a second. These are pretty much where your screenshots are going to go. PlayStation Plus, access online and everything. PlayStation Now, which is the other thing. And then Share Factory, Remote Play, which if you guys don't know what this is, pretty much it's what I'm doing right now. I'm streaming my PlayStation 5 to my iPhone and iPad. So Remote Play is a really cool app that I use all the time. And then our game library. So what this does and what it shows us is pretty much all the games that we have on our console right now. Now, some are also in queue to download. I don't have Fortnite installed on our console right now. But, the other games, as you can see, it says it's a PS4 game. This one says it's online. This one doesn't give us anything. So if it's a PS4 game, it'll go ahead and specify right there if it's a PS4 game, or if it doesn't say anything, then it's a PlayStation 5 game. So hopping out of here, let's go back to our home, and we can go back home, the back one. Now, if we go ahead and click up and we go ahead and click over to media, this is pretty much where our apps like Netflix, Hulu, Apple TV, YouTube, this is where those apps are going to reside. So if you watch those things on your TV, through your PlayStation 5, then that's good. You can also scroll all the way to the right and get into your app library. So that's another cool area you can go and swap into. However, I don't think many people are going to be using that. If you swipe one more to the right, you can see we are now in that search bar. So if we go and click that search bar, you can see that if we want to search for anything, games, movies, TV shows, players, and apps, whatever, we can go ahead and search through those within this search bar, which is cool. And if we want to go ahead and get a little bit of a more, detailed view on certain things, we can go and scroll through media, players, games, and all that good stuff. So that's something that a lot of people are going to use. But I think something that more people are going to use than that is the settings app. So if we go ahead and click there and we click the X button, you can see we are now in our settings app options. Now, if I went ahead, I can make a 30-minute video talking about just, individual settings within here, but I'll go ahead and give a brief high-level overview. So basically, these first couple ones are something most people are going to use, at least the two. The network one, if you are connecting to a Wi-Fi or something, that's the one you're going to use. Users and accounts allow you to use, manage your accounts and everything. System is a very important one as well. If you want to get more information about your system, if you want to go ahead and update software, if you want to change the language, time, remote play, power saving, web browser, all that stuff, you're going to be able to mess with those within your system settings. Going into storage, if we want to expand our storage, we can go ahead and do that within our extended storage options here. Our sound preferences, so if we want to mess with the sound or anything, we have the ability right here too. Screen and video, so your video output, even if you want to go ahead and change it to 4K video transfer rate, you can go ahead and set that off to automatic. And if you want to turn on HDR or adjust HDR or whatever, you can go ahead and mess with those within this setting. But also within the screen, you can go in, if the PlayStation, output is a little bit expanding or, outside of the TV, you can go and mess with it here. You can go and mess with the accessories, your saved data, notifications, captures, and broadcasts. And that's really pretty much it for the settings app. Now there's a ton of inbuilt settings within here. There's settings within settings. So keep that in mind, but this is just a high level overview. So that's the settings app. If we go ahead and go over one, this is pretty much our user account. So if we go ahead and click in this, you can see that our online status is online. If we want to go ahead and change this to offline, we can go and click here and click busy or appear offline. And I'm going to go ahead and do that. We can go and get into our profile settings here, see our trophies. We can switch our users, and we can also log out if we want to. So that's pretty much it for this portion. Now, if we go ahead, and that really pretty much covers up everything in the UI. Now, if let's say we're in an app or something like this, or we're in our app library and we go ahead and open up Netflix, for example, if we wanted to go home, we can go and click our home, aka our PlayStation button. Now this is giving me some weird thing. Now if we go and click our PlayStation home button, aka our PlayStation button, you'll pretty much come into this. Now what this basically gives us is just a bunch of information, some things that are just recently happened with our new stuff. If we want to go home, we can go and click home. If we want to go into the app we were just in, we would go and click here. You can go ahead and see your notifications, your friends, your music, your sound, all that stuff, your controller, but you can also swipe all the way to the right and power off your console by clicking here, and then you can go and turn off your PS5, restart your PS5, or enter rest mode straight from the UI itself, so we don't have to go to the console just like how we could on the PS4, and I'm pretty sure the PS3 as well. So that really pretty much covers up everything in the UI for the most part. Again, there's a lot of nitty-gritty and the details and stuff, but this is pretty much a high-level overview. You will pretty much always be presented first into your games library, followed by the media, and other things can come up here, and other things can come up here too, but typically it's these two. If you ever want to access your settings, you can go right here. If you want to access your user or log out or sign out or switch users, you go right here. So that's really pretty much it. If you guys have any other questions or anything, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. Every single subscriber that we get really does count, so it'd mean so much if you guys could hit that. Also check out the other links down in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my other channels. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.